Howdy all. I'd like to introduce you to a new instrument that I've cobbled together here. It's a digital percussion station, for want of a better word. I have a friend who plays guitar who asked if I could do some percussion work with him as a duo, and I said, yeah, sure. And then I thought about lugging my conga and my djembe and my darabuka and my cymbals and my stands, and before I knew it I had built a percussion system the size of a drum kit with all the fun that goes along with that, including the big pack up and the 3 trips to and from transport to the venue. So I decided that I'd have a crack at replicating my percussion rig in something a little smaller. And I started with the Wavedrum. This is a Korg product, it's been around for ages, but it has some shortcomings. One of the main ones being you can't back up your programming. It's in there or it's not. If you change wave drums, you can't transfer your programming. You have to do it all again manually. So this is archaic and, you know, requires lots of record keeping, which in this day and age is ludicrous. The other instrument down here is a Wavedrum-TM2, which is a trigger module. It's also been on the market a number of years, but unlike the Korg Wavedrum, it has full backup facilities over the SD card that's in the front of it, which is lovely. And that means through that SD card you can indeed transfer your programming from one TM2 to another should that become necessary. Anyway, both instruments have their strengths, and that's the point. As digital percussion, what the Wavedrum has going for it is undeniably that it's like a drum to play. It is not MIDI, it is a percussion synthesizer, and the beginning of the sound comes with the strike of the drum head that's here. And if I strike with my hands, or if I strike with a brush, or if I strike with a stick, the instrument knows it's being hit with that. Just let me pull a snare drum up, for example. So you can see not only does the volume change, but the timbre changes as well, as it would on an acoustic instrument, which is pretty clever. And I guess the main reason why I absolutely love the instrument, the Korg Wavedrum, is without a doubt just interesting. I can imagine a whole drum set made up of these Korg Wavedrums, but they're a little bit expensive, so for that anyway. And but for what they give you otherwise, I think they're fantastic. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They come loaded with a couple of 100 sounds and a couple of 100 user banks for you to be creative in with your programming. So if only there was some way to back it up, I'd be happy. And the other thing, of course, the reason that this 2-module thing comes to be is because there's no provision in the Wavedrum to plug in pedals. Now, while most percussionists wouldn't care about that, I'm not a percussionist per se. I'm a kit drummer, and I'm used to using my feet. In fact, if I don't use my feet, I feel like off balance in an odd way. So, like, I thought, well, you know, I could get an old drum module and hook that up and try that, and I did. I had an old TD7 lying around. I hooked that up and tried it as a placeholder, and it worked quite well. And so at the end of the day, I did a bit of research, and what I wanted was something small, something compact, something with just enough inputs to give me a right foot, a left foot, and a dual zone pad beyond the Wavedrum, so that I can not only use my feet when I play the Wavedrum, but I can also add extra sounds from little mini-me pad up here which of course is MIDI and using the TM2 sounds, except for the fact that that SD card in the front allows you to load your own samples. So given time, this little player up here will be using a combination of the TM2 samples, but also samples that I introduced to the machine from any number of different sources, which is exciting in itself. Wave file playback can use everything from single shot to loops to folios, so it's going to be really quite exciting creatively to add sounds into my performance through that SD facility. So yeah, that's where we have it. We have a little state-of-the-art little MIDI trigger input down here, and we have a couple of triggers. We have a pad, two-zone pad. We have a couple of pedals. Oh, that was an interesting story, because you might notice I've got a Roland FD8 hi-hat pedal in the mix here, and they're not recommended pedals for this rig. In fact, I have another KD7 rig, and I originally put the two bass drum pedals up because I play double bass drum. It felt okay. But then when I was playing closed hi-hat on the bass drum rig, it did feel a bit awkward, and I thought, it's a pity that I can't use my hi-hat pedal because it'd feel more natural for me being a kit drummer. So I plugged the hi-hat pedal in, and guess what? It worked. It worked kind of too well, because it works on the way down and it works on the way up again if you want it to. That's pretty clever, eh? Yeah? I could probably work with that, or not. So I've got a lot of range on the travel of the foot plate at the moment, so that I can work underneath that second trigger point. So it's only there if I want to go there. And yeah, it's not a hi-hat controller. It's not going to interface with the pad up here. I'm just using it as a trigger for the closed hi-hat sound that's in the module, and that works okay for me. I can get open hi-hat happening up here if I want on the Mini-Me. I can get those rim and head sounds to interact through grouping them together on the module. Very clever. Yeah, the Roland module is very, very state-of-the-art, technologically clever, and been a delight to program, been a delight to get to know. It doesn't do anything stupid. It's really well put together. The Wavedrum, on the other hand, as I said, is kind of archaic in the fact that it doesn't have this type of backup technology, and the interface is a 3-number LED, you know, like you see on an alarm clock. It's really terrible. But having said that, it's manageable once you get through the manual a couple of times and read all the forums and learn through experience. You go, well, yeah, it's not that hard to program. It's not that hard to work with. It's logical, but it's long-winded, and you really do need the manuals open when you're doing it. So yeah, I said, well, wasn't for the fact that the Wavedrum plays so well, I probably wouldn't have got one, because at the end of the day, what the Wavedrum is, it's truly an instrument. It's going to respond differently to different people playing it, or how you play it differently. Whereas MIDI's MIDI. You trigger it, it goes on and off like a light switch. Yes, there's a little bit of dynamics there, but not much else. You don't get the nuance that you get with the Wavedrum, which knows whether you're out on the edge of the drum. Etc., etc., etc. But I didn't really get this so I could go, although that's quite fun. I got this more to do things like more the world instruments, cajon, djembe, darbuka. Oh, no, sorry, that's rain drum. Wrong patch. that's about it for the rig. I might play us out with a tune. Hope you're inspired. Hope it helps you think laterally about what you might do with technology when it comes to percussion. Cheers.